Chapter 1. The best way to communicate a message to humans is by telling a good story. Stories have always had the ability to mold people, whether in ancient times or in contemporary films. Everyone enjoys a good story, regardless of the means used to tell it. A common pattern in good stories is that a character faces a challenge and encounters a guide who helps them devise a strategy, motivates them to take action, avoids failure, and leads to success. So how do you use the power of storytelling to sell a product? Make a story brand of your own. Add in the opportunity to build a long-term relationship with your consumers and the ability to pose your product in an irresistible way. As a result, your customers' interest will be retained and your company will flourish without fail. When you have a compelling narrative that illustrates your brand, you can gain a competitive advantage. Donald Miller explains why the business is not the central character, how to cope with a challenge as an adversary, and why losing money is worse than winning it in Building a Story Brand. The chapters that follow will walk you through the steps you need to take to create a story brand that will draw customers to your company. Chapter 2. Clear messages that speak to customers' needs are essential for effective marketing. There is no space for uncertainty. Aesthetics are less important than effective language usage. You may have the most beautiful website on the block, but you're using language ineffectively. It's a waste of such elegance. Your message should pass the following information: who you are, what you do, why you are the best fit for the job. Customers should be able to comprehend your message and relate to your tale without difficulty. If they encounter difficulties repeatedly, they would not hesitate to move their company elsewhere. Your message must clarify your goals and every mission. The best message for your brand takes the customer's needs into consideration. It is crucial to always ask yourself if your product or service will be beneficial to people's survival. According to psychologist Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, it's critical to prioritize the services or goods based on how important they are to human survival. Physical requirements take precedence over psychological requirements. Consider this a pyramid. The most basic needs we have as humans are food, sex, protection, and shelter. Then there's the need for fellowship and companionship. The need for self-actualization is at the top of the pyramid. Understanding this hierarchy can provide the leverage to hone your message and entice your customers. Acceptance is what we all crave. We just want to feel like we belong somewhere. We must all eat and drink. Use what you've learned to illustrate how your product can help consumers meet their needs and thrive in life. If you're in the business of technical enhancement training, for example, your website must explicitly state that you teach people. Then you must figure out how to craft a message that ties technical training to your customers' survival needs. You may demonstrate how professional training would allow them to earn more money and better care for themselves. Being skilled will also assist them in making friends with notable members of society. Chapter 3. A well-told story is organized information which follows a 7-part framework. Sometimes we get so engrossed in a movie or novel that we lose track of time while enjoying the stories they tell. A properly crafted story has the power to retain our attention and improve our retention of the story. The fact that a good story is organized knowledge distinguishes it from ordinary speaking. We enjoy listening to stories because of our need for order and consistency. Since it is structured, we recall stories long after they have been told. Storytelling is an effective marketing strategy that makes messages stick. Unlike the erratic honking of cars and odd noises we hear and forget almost instantly, a good story sticks in the mind after a single listen, much like a melody. Music follows a set of rules and patterns that are easily recognized. A pattern can also be found in good tales. Make a message as infectious as a melody by turning it into a story if you want to project your brand. The StoryBrand 7-part framework, also known as SB7 framework, is a simple way to accomplish this. The SB7 framework harnesses the influence of stories. The structure describes the 7 most common story elements: character, problem, guide, plan, calls to action, failure, success. The remaining chapters in this summary will explain each of these modules in turn. For now, a skeletal explanation of how the components fuse together is given. In every story, the protagonist is the focus of attention. Their character is at the center of the plot. They have a strong desire for something impossible to obtain. This issue is caused by this complexity. Just as they are about to give up, a guide appears and proposes a solution to the dilemma. The guide instructs the character to behave in accordance with the strategy. To escape failure, the character must stick to the plan in order to fulfill her first desire. This story arc can be crafted for every type of brand. Once you've got your script sorted, it will provide the ammunition you need to win and keep the attention of your customers. The next chapter will zoom in on the character. Chapter 4. The character in your business story are the customers, and you should focus on one desire. Every good story has a hero. The Harry Potter series has Harry Potter. Game of Thrones has Jon Snow, depending on the season you're watching. The hero of an effective brand story is the customer. Allow your story to revolve around your client's wants and needs. Tell the story from their perspective. It will stay with them, and they will automatically seek you out when they need something in the real world. The need will be associated with your brand. Consider a travel company as an example of how vital it is to make the customer your main character. This company's website features stunning scenery from around the world, as well as their beautiful offices and a story about them. In essence, it discussed all but the consumer. This is a good example of what not to do. The message is ambiguous and does not answer the customer's needs. They showcase their business rather than focusing on what their company will do for the consumer. People may enjoy the beautiful landscapes and offices, but they are unable to relate their needs to what you are saying. Your website should talk more about the people who use them than you. They should easily see why they need to contact you and what you bring to the table. In your brand story, your customer must be the main character. Engage them by focusing on their needs. Concentrate on one desire to become more dominant. It's pointless to mention all of your resources. It would just confuse the clients and make it impossible for them to see how your message addresses their needs. Someone at the travel agency soon realized that customers want to travel easily. As a result of this discovery, their website was redesigned to emphasize how their services relieve their customers of the pressure of making travel plans. The message became more succinct and direct, and everyone was aware of the travel agency's services. Chapter 5. By turning the internal problems of your customers into a villain, you can keep them interested in your offer. How does your product or service solve customer problems? The second component of the SB7 framework focuses on identifying the problems your customers face and proffering solutions to these problems. Companies tend to sell solutions to external problems, but people buy solutions to internal problems. Donald Miller. People like being heard. Simply stating the issues that your customers face will pique their interest in the solution you offer. Clearly state the issue, demonstrating that you understand where the shoe hurts. By communicating your awareness of your customers' challenges, you communicate understanding. In a story, having a hero isn't enough. There has to be a bad guy somewhere. As a result, this obstacle or dilemma that the customers face must be portrayed as the story's protagonist, who must be defeated. It's helpful to portray distractions as a villain if your product is a time management app. Make all that steals time into a mini-villain, and these villains will become the main villains. Internal issues may often be more urgent than external issues. Feeling stressed that you don't have enough time to relax could be an internal issue for which the time management software could have solutions. If a customer's home needs painting, the fact that you are a painter would not persuade him to hire you over another painter. However, by making a villain out of the fact that he may own the ugliest house on the block, you may be able to show him how to solve this villain by hiring you. Tell the house owner that you are one of the only painters who can use paint to restore the house's elegance. Chapter 6. A careful combination of empathy and authority will guide your customers in the right direction. In the movie Lord of the Rings, Frodo bears the horrible weight of the One Ring. Like every other story, the hero finds himself in a difficult situation and needs to navigate his way out of it. In this time of confusion, a guide appears to clear the path and provide support to the hero. Frodo had Gandalf the Great as his guide. The guide can take any form. It could be a teacher, a parent, a team coach, or in the case of Frodo, a wizard. The primary role of the guide is to enlighten the hero on what can be done to achieve something greater than what they thought was possible. In your brand story, your organization is the guide. Its aim is to assist customers in overcoming obstacles in their lives. There are two key attributes you must have to present yourself as an effective guide: empathy and authority. Empathy establishes the foundation for a trustworthy relationship. It demonstrates to your customers that you are aware of their situation and can empathize with them. Only if you establish a relationship with your customers will they take your advice seriously. Empathy makes customers trust you, while authority is established by being consistently competent. Being overbearing or condescending does not create authority. It is won by acting with honesty and following through on your promises. You must demonstrate that you are capable of carrying out your promises. Please deliver. A constant demonstration of competence is the key to establishing authority. At this point, all of your story's major characters have been identified. You know who the story's hero, villain, and guide are. It's time to tell a gripping story.